The San Jose Sharks dropped their 10th straight game again.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Probably part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day, even when they lose 10 straight games. We're coming for you, Detroit Pistons. That'd be insane. I don't know how they did that. 27 or whatever it was. God bless him. Anyway, so if you want to be an everyday, all you got to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. The Sharks lose 2-1 to the Winnipeg Jets as the offense continues to struggle. Tomas Hertl named an all-star. Matt Benning done for the year, and Logan Couture back soon. So we're going to discuss all that today. Before we get into the Sharks' interesting, intriguing, maddening loss to the Winnipeg Jets. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you guys by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Yes, I know the Sharks. Normally we talk about the World Juniors. Keep an eye out. You're probably going to get a Saturday episode. So where I'm going to discuss that. And there's so much Sharks news going on today. So I wanted to kind of devote the third segment to kind of these Sharks news. And we'll get to the again. Keep an eye out on the feed. You'll probably either Friday night, Saturday, expect something in the feed. So let's get to the Sharks. 10 straight. We're not even at the halfway point of the season, guys. Halfway point's next week. So yeah, I think it's after the next, because this was game, 39, 38. So yeah, it's next week, halfway point. Sharks have already lost 10 straight twice. And this is a perfect 0-10-0 on this one. Just beautiful. Beautiful symmetry. 0-10-0. So this game very much like the Sharks sleepwalking to the first 10 minutes, and then they woke up, and this game was actually very competitive, much kind of like the last game that these two teams played, just with the reverse outcome where the Jets got the kind of late goal to put themselves ahead and hang on, while last time the Sharks were able to do that. But you did see some signs and some good things out of here. We saw Alexander Barabanov with his second goal in 2 games, and it looks like you're starting to see him kind of get that confidence and creativity back. And he got a well-earned promotion back onto the first line with Hertl and William Eklund. And I'd be intrigued to see if that continues to go. We'll talk about the forward lines here in a little bit, but so that was positive, right? Seeing Barabanov, you saw William Eklund, I think, have his best game in a little while. Tonight, we had the primary assist on the Barabanov goal. Beautiful play, kind of getting it from Ty Emberson, just rolling, just flying down, the boards. Makes a great play behind the net to kind of pass it to Barabanov, and Barabanov, snipes between Hellebuck's legs. We saw a lot more active Eklund. I thought his defensive stick was really great tonight. A bunch of great steals, stick lifts. But of course, the big thing with Eklund tonight was when the Sharks were goalie pulled 6-on-5, and it wasn't the cleanest extra attacker look that we've seen from San Jose. It was very kind of chaotic and struggled tonight. Eklund gets an opportunity, and he makes that just one too many passes. And that's where you want to see that killer instinct from Eklund to take that shot there, have the confidence to take that shot. And, again, we maybe, with how much he and the offense has struggled recently. Maybe it was one of those, like, let me try to make one more play to try to get somebody else set up for a little bit better situation. But that's one of those plays that I think that as he gets older and learns a little bit more in that situation where you got to take that shot. And if you miss or whatever, fine, like at least take the shot, right? As Michael Scott once said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That one right there, like that's you love to see it because there was a bunch of guys around the net. If it shoots, maybe it's a funny deflection, whatever. I don't expect Hellebuck to make a clean save there. I expect there to be a rebound. And you had Hertl in the net, you had Zetterlund flying around there too. Like that's one of those where you really want to see Eklund kind of pull the trigger there. And I think that's just one of those kind of steps in the maturation process for Eklund. So, but I thought you saw much more confident Eklund than what we've seen recently, right? Go back to after last game, and there's that picture that Shang Peng, had on that he looked dejected, like just drained. But you saw his play tonight, I thought was much better. And I thought it was one of his better recent games. I think this is, remember, usually with these, like you kind of see like the steps towards a breakout game. I think we're gonna be getting one of those Eklund games here really soon. And the Sharks schedule, they got 2 games against Toronto here, but in Montreal, you play Ottawa, like you play some teams that are also kind of on the struggle bus here soon. So this could be an opportunity to see the offense start to get going here. And it's not like the Sharks haven't played poorly. Like they played pretty well for the most part in this game. And, credit to Winnipeg, especially at the first 10 minutes of the game where they came out flying and it looked like they were on a power play for 10 straight minutes, but the Sharks kind of fought back and they started to string some shifts together. And you've been seeing that from San Jose, right? I don't think they're as bad as this 10-0 streak is right now. It's great for the tank. I love it for the tank, but I don't think they're as bad as this 10-0. And I think we're going to see, just like we saw with the East Coast trip, I think we're going to see some of that regression to the mean here strike really soon. And I wouldn't be surprised if it just kind of, again, you got Montreal, which the Sharks played to overtime recently. You got Ottawa, who's been not looking great. I think they got shut out tonight by the Kraken, where it was pretty close. I know they were shut out for a while. It's the Sharks will probably get some opportunities to break this streak here. And again, as much as I'm rooting for Team Tank, you got to get a win in there every once in a while, right? Just that morale thing for the win, right? And again, like 10-0 is pretty impressive. So, and I think another big storyline tonight was Mackenzie Blackwood, who showed no rust, kind of got thrown into the deep end tonight, especially in that first period. But we've talked about with yesterday's episode or the other day's episode with Kaapo Kähkönen, where you're starting to kind of see some of that wear and tear of having to carry the load right now, especially since the Christmas break, where he's had to basically start every game with the exception of one where Magnus Krona was out there, and Kaapo Kähkönen had to come into that game because of how poorly the Sharks played in front of Magnus Krona. Good to see Mackenzie Blackwood kind of come back tonight and show no rust and look like he's healthy again. Don't know what his sickness was, whatever it was, it took him down because it took, we're a week plus now out of Christmas. And, this was his first start since then. So good to see. Hopefully now we can start getting that even balance of between Kaapo Kähkönen and Mackenzie Blackwood. And I think that's when they're both at their best, right? Where they can kind of an even balance, kind of continuing that like alternating starts and let them both be fresh. Because I know Kaapo Kähkönen's played really well, but the past couple of games, you kind of just starting to see a little bit of the weight kind of bearing on him, especially because it's not like no easy nights behind this Sharks team. So yes, the offense continues to struggle, and that's going to be something, but there's maybe some brighter days, at least when it comes to at least getting rewarded for your competitive. It's not like other than the first 10 minutes of this game, it was a pretty even game back and forth between Winnipeg and San Jose. And Winnipeg is one of the best teams in the NHL. They're up there on the top of the Central. Depending on what night it is, they're usually, they're in the top three usually in the Central. That's a very, very competitive division right now. But we haven't really seen too many recently of the absolute just blowout games, with the exception, I think Colorado the other night, and like there's been a couple here and there, but the Sharks are overdue. They're not as bad as this 0-10-0. And maybe this is just, as weird as it sounds, maybe it's just some of the bad luck / potentially good luck for the Sharks going for that top pick, right? And maybe just it's a season of just everything that could go wrong goes wrong. But in the long run, it all kind of works out for San Jose. At least that's what we hope for. So we'll dig into the numbers, talk about Anthony Duclair's kind of demotion tonight. And then, of course, we'll talk about All-Star Tomas Hertl, Matt Benning, IR for the season, and Logan Couture coming back soon. We'll get into all that here in just 1 second. With the NFL regular season wrapping up, there's still time to get on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. It's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is super easy to use. There's so many different ways to kind of bet and have fun with it, right? They have live same game parlays. So if maybe you're watching and Tyreek Hill on Sunday night starts to go off, maybe you could parlay a touchdown with over under on his yards. Maybe you can find bets in the new Explore tab to kind of see what everyone else is doing. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find the popular parlays, so that we can see what everyone else is doing, or maybe if you want to fade what everyone else is doing, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, so let's dig into the numbers behind this game. Again, for how dominant it was, especially the first 10 minutes, San Jose really kind of closed the gap in this game. So we had 52.5 minutes of 5v5 time. Shot attempts were 57-50 in favor of the Jets. So Corsi of 53.27 to 46.73. Actual shots for it, 5v5 was 24-25 in favor of the Jets. Scoring chances, 24-15 in favor of the Jets. 9-5 high danger chances. Then 2.05 to 1.4 when expected goals for, again, in favor of the Jets. But you kind of wipe out the first period, which was 25-13 shot attempts by Winnipeg. And the Sharks kind of won the other periods, or at least it was pretty much a draw for the most part. It was like 18-15 shot attempts and 19-17 shot attempts for the Sharks in those the second and third period. And, basically, other than the scoring chances, the Jets had a little bit higher edge in the second period. It was pretty much a dead heat. Expected goals for, and was pretty close as well between the two teams. The Sharks just kind of fell flat out of the game, which was, don't know if it was, they didn't have a morning skate this morning, so maybe it took a little bit to kind of get the legs going. Who knows? Again, that's just one man's or just one hypothesis. Who knows? But I think, though, the Jets did a much better job, as we've seen San Jose do a good job of kind of limiting the traffic in front of the goalie the past couple games. This game you saw a lot more, shots from right in front of Mackenzie Blackwood, a lot more of that flurry activity that we hadn't really seen much recently. And Blackwood was stellar tonight. We'll look at his numbers here in a little bit. But as for the forward lines, so the starting lines, we had Eklund, Hertl, Duclair. Then we had Zetterlund, Granlund, Hoffman, Zadina, Carpenter, Bailey, and then Barabanov, Studnicka, Cunnin. And then, like I said, Barabanov jumped up to play with the Eklund Hertl line for a little bit. Don't have, apparently they didn't play enough together. That third period was a little bit of a mess with power plays, and then with an empty net situations. So don't have enough data on them, but the Zetterlund, Granlund, Hoffman line has been a bit of a struggle bus, and it kind of continued tonight. You wonder if Hoffman on that line might be kind of seeing his final days there, if we see some kind of changes here soon. Actually, we do have an Eklund, Hertl, Barabanov. My bet on that. We'll get to that here in a minute. I misread. But 12-10 for that line and they had 8 shots for, 17 against, 2 to 6 shot attempts, 0.31 to 0.74 expected goals for, 3 to 10 scoring chances in favor of the Jets, 1 to 5 high danger chances. So a bit of a tough night for that line. I wonder if we do end up seeing the Duclair line, Duclair maybe put back there, because that line was working really well in the past. And we'll see, but it's been, we kind of have the pairs, right? You have Zetterlund and Granlund, you have Hertl and Eklund. It's been trying to find those right pieces for those guys. And, maybe as we'll talk about here with Couture coming back, where everyone kind of fits in. But Eklund, Hertl, Duclair played 937, 6 to 7 shot attempts, 4 to 3 shots for in favor of them, 0.8 to 0.15 expected goals. For while they were getting, more shots, that just wasn't the high quality. Winnipeg's defense did a great job of kind of keeping things on the perimeter. You saw that on the power play as well. 0 to 1 scoring chances, 0 to 1 high danger chances, 7 defensive zone starts. The Grand line also had 8 defensive zone starts. So Zadina, Carpenter, Bailey, 628 time on ice, 5 to 8 shot attempts, 2 to 1 actual shots, 0.04 to 0.09. Zadina, I thought, had a little bit of juice tonight. I thought he would have been a guy to potentially see a little bit of a bump, and he actually did end up kind of playing on the third line with the Cunnins. He ended up playing with Cunnin as well too. So kind of in the Studnicka line. So I think I'd like to see a little bit more with Zadina. Like, he's hit the crossbar. He's just keeps missing. I think that's always been the thing with him in Detroit, right? Is he makes that one thing, but just can't finish. So, and then the Barabanov-Studnicka Cunnin line played 442, 8 shot attempts, 4-5 against, 4 to 3 actual shots. Did give up a goal, but 0.37 to 0.36 expected goals for. That was your most productive line, at least in terms of expected goals for. 3 to 2 scoring chances, 2 to 1 high danger chances. But Eklund, Hertl, Barabanov, so they got put together at the beginning of the third period. 5:25 time on ice. 13 to 3 shot attempts, 5 to 3 actual shots on goal, 0.28 expected goals for, 0.03 expected goals allowed, 5 to nothing scoring chances, 1 high danger chance. So I think Barabanov, who's I think struggled with coming back from his injury, struggled with his confidence. I think you got to reward him and let him continue to play with that line, as we've struggled to find that right partner for that line. Let's give Barabanov a whirl for a little bit here. So, as for the defense, poor Vlasic, it's not looking great. Defensively, Ferraro led the way, Corsi 4. Also, William Eklund, among all skaters at 5v5, led the way, Corsi 4 at 24 to 12. So when he was on the ice, the Sharks had 24 shot attempts. So, and gave up 12. Anyway, whatever. Mario Ferraro, 22 to 12 shot attempts, 64.71 Corsi 4. Ty Emberson, so that pairing's been working really well. 15 to 10 shot attempts, 60% Corsi. Thornton, who I think had a little bit quieter night tonight, was paired with Jan Ruda, and that pairing had a nice even 50%. Corsi 4, Thornton had 22 to 22, Ruda 17 to 17 shot attempts. Addison and Duclair both struggled. 13 to 30 for Addison on the shot attempts there for 30.23% Corsi, and Vlasic was 9 of 23 for 28.13. And I know Addison's had some ups and downs, but I think I don't think Vlasic is the right partner for him as we continue to try to find the right partner. Burroughs did miss this game with a lower body, kind of day-to-day lower body injury. So we'll see what happens with him when the Sharks take on the Leafs on Saturday afternoon. As for Mackenzie Blackwood's return, 28 saves on 30 shots, 2 goals against. Expected goals against is 302, 933 save percentage. So, and 9 high danger saves and 11 high danger shots. So, like I said, the last couple of games we've seen like 4s and 5s. Tonight we saw 11 high danger shots, 5-5 mid danger, and 12 for 12 on the low danger. So, good to see Mackenzie Blackwood, knock off the rust quickly. Again, kind of got thrown into the fire there, but I think kind of the big takeaway is you're starting to the guys that you're hoping for to start to see stuff. Some of the younger guys, you're starting to kind of see them making those baby steps. And I think we're gonna get some offense, some sustained offense here from San Jose. Like I said, next week with the schedule kind of softening up here on this road trip. So we'll get into, of course, the kind of catch up on all the rest of the news here with Hertl being an all-star, Matt Benning injury, and Logan Couture coming back. We'll do that here in just 1 second. It's almost the halfway point of the season, and Sharks fans, it has been a struggle. Regardless of what the Sharks are doing in the standings, 10-0 again. I want to remind you that you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our #1 choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is pick from your favorite players, whether they're NHL All-Stars like Tomas Hertl or superstars like McDavid, Crosby, or McKinnon, and record more or less than their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more in a given game. To 100 times bet, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Sharks fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. All right. Again, tomorrow after the World Juniors, finishes up, we'll probably have a kind of a nice chunky discussion on that, and maybe some stuff about the Leafs, as I did do a bit of a crossover with our good, with Mikey over at the Locked On Leafs. So expect something to drop at some point, either Friday night, Saturday morning, for that, where do some World Juniors, do some of that, talk about some of the Leafs Sharks here in a little bit. So yeah, expect like basically a full episode coming up here. So our good boy, our sweet Czech Prince, Tomas Hertl, making the All-Star. I think it was pretty clear-cut case for Hertl being the Sharks representative. Leads the team in scoring, has been their best player, from start to finish since the season started. And I think it's a reward for not only how he's played on the ice, but also everything he's kind of the mantle he's picked up, I think, off the ice too, of kind of taking up that leadership role with Couture being out and kind of having to, guide a lot of, he's basically had Eklund under his wing this, for basically since game 11 or 12 of the season. He's had Eklund under his wing. He knows how important getting Eklund kind of being an NHL player is, and I think it's good for him to get this national recognition, right? And yes, I know every team has to send gets a representative. And, I think it's a fair point that say teams like, the Sharks or the Blue Jackets or, some of these bottom feeders, not having a true all-star. I get it. And, even for these guys, right? Most of these guys are going to be in Hawaii or Cabo or, someplace warm, kind of relaxing for a couple of days. But I think for the brand of the Sharks, it's good to see Hertl, right? He's such a great personality. Everybody loves him. Nobody has ever said a bad thing about Tomas Hertl. And it's, if anybody deserves this recognition on this team right now, it's Hertl. So congrats to our Czech prince. Someone asked me when he becomes the Czech king, and I said not until Jaromír Jágr retires, and that's never ever going to happen. So sorry, Hertl he's our Czech prince until Jaromír Jágr officially retires. Because Jágr ain't retiring, fool, guys. It's just not gonna happen. That guy's gonna play until he's like 90, and he's still gonna be out there just making people look silly. So, yeah, congrats to Hertl. The other big news today: Matt Benning done for the season with hip surgery. Feel bad for Benny because he did have a good season with San Jose, right? And a lot of people kind of questioned, myself included, was like, what's up with Matt Benning, signing for 3 years or 4 years, excuse me, signing for this 4-year deal at like $1.1 million. But like Benning outplayed at least the money portion of that contract last year, and I was a good player on San Jose and really kind of helped. Again, I know the defense wasn't great last year and it wasn't great this year, but you could point to him as being one of the bright spots behind Erik Karlsson last year. And you could argue last year behind Nico Sturm, he was the second best addition, that Mike Greer brought in last year when he was coupon shopping because they had no budget. But Benning, unfortunately just kind of hit with the injury bug, only played 14 games this season, scored 2 points, and is the good news is surgery. He should be ready to go for training camp. It's a 5-month recovery process that should kind of put him ready to hopefully get back into the swing of things, at least for normal-ish off-season activities for him. And hopefully by the, training camp 9 months from now. Oh my God, training camp's 9 months from now. But anyway, he should be ready to go. And you hope that this hip injury this kind of cleans this up for him and he doesn't have to deal with it anymore. At least that's the hope. So silver lining is it kind of clears up one of the logs in the log jam of that is on the blue line right now. And it's very much, Ferraro and Ruda with a bunch of children running around right now. But the children have looked good, and you're going to have to make room at some point for Shakir Mukhamadullin. And if you missed yesterday's conversation about Shakir Mukhamadullin, go check out yesterday's episode because I did a kind of breakdown of his game against the CUDA. And Mukhamadulin's coming, man. He's 14 points in his last 12 games, and just he's putting it all together. It's not going to be, he's knocking on the door here soon. So yeah, so that's just another. And if the Sharks need to, I think he's just on IR right now. Let me double check on Cap Friendly. Not that they probably don't need to, but if they're taking back an ugly contract, they can always move him to LTIR and kind of give themselves a little bit of a $1.25 million bump on the salary cap in case they need to kind of bring back an ugly contract, need to kind of finagle the finances. So he's probably just going to sit on IR right now unless they need to move him to LTIR. So reminder, LTIR gives you lets you go above the cap, but you can't, once that player comes back, you kind of you have to be cap compliant again with the original cap. So since he's not going to be back, I think, again, you'll sit on IR. If you need to move to LTIR to kind of, again, give yourself a little bit more wiggle room if you're bringing back an ugly contract or a big contract to make things work, that just a little bit of space there. And then by the summer, you'll be cap compliant anyway when he comes back. So, and then the other kind of big news, Logan Couture sounds like he's going to be returning on this road trip when the San Jose kind of heads to the Greater Ontario region. With games against Toronto, games against Montreal, Ottawa. Sounds like Couture is going to be back on some time in this road trip. He has been practicing, so that's good news, right? That we've been waiting for Couture to get back. Sounds like he's just about ready to go, and they're going to be precautious. I'm going to have an article up this weekend on San Jose Hockey Now about kind of what are some of these Sharks options with Couture. So make sure you guys, it'll either be up this weekend or early next week. So make sure you guys look out for that. But, the Sharks have been kind of hanging in there, especially, down the middle. They've been struggling. with having to trade for Studnicka. Nico Sturm is out. Ryan Carpenter has been, doing admirably on the fourth line, but getting Logan Couture back, even if he doesn't play center right now, at least just having him, giving you some more flexibility in your top nine is just, I think the Sharks will benefit from that and kind of take some pressure off of some of the other guys who've had to kind of carry a lot of the load, Granlund, guys like that. So don't expect 1,000%, 100% Couture right away, but good steps, baby steps here as the Sharks try to kind of put things together as entering before the trade deadline. And worst case is you have another, by the time the trade deadline hits, you're going to have Couture, who should be back to at least normal-ish by then, who can, you have these pairings, right? You have Eklund, Hertl, you have Zettel and Granlund. You can at least put another pairing if you want to put Couture with a younger player, right, to kind of get them going. So that's going to be it for me today. Like I said, keep an eye out on the feed for either Friday night, Saturday morning, where I'll have my thoughts on, the Sharks prospects, juniors, kind of Sweden, USA. I don't know who to root for, as I'm beloved by Swedes, and I am from the US. So I just want both teams to be happy. So that's going to do it for me today. Like I said, keep an eye out on the feed for that. Be back also on Monday, recap for the Leafs game. We'll talk about the Barracudas weekend as well. Make sure you guys are following wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can follow me on Twitter at MyFryhole. Until later, sometime soon. Bye, friends.